Councilor Paz,
President.
you have the floor.
I presented this matter in different language. And the Rules and Ordinances
Other than
Committee,
English?
with different language, different ordinance language. I'm not sure if this is a debate. I'm trying to share
I'm
my
not debating
position.
you, Council.
I'm trying to actually express.
I am trying to
Madam
get to where
President,
we need
Madam
to
President,
be.
I am trying to finish a thought, and you keep interrupting me, and that's not
You have
conducive
the floor,
to this.
Councilor.
Great. So I presented this matter, this specific matter, notification rights resolution ordinance, after Economic and Community Development Committee. We did the research, we did the work, we got the public's input, and we submitted to the Rules and Ordinances Committee ordinance language. It took 10 months to finally get the matter off the table to actually talk about it. And the irony is that it took maybe 50, 60 community advocates to finally talk about it. And the recommendation we got from the Ward 8 councilor was have a citizen input hearing. Because apparently that is following the rules,
Point of
right?
personal privilege. Point of
I'm
personal
finishing.
privilege.
I'm finishing.
You rise to point of personal privilege, Councilor.
Please sit. Point of personal privilege. This is not personal. Don't make it personal. What this is Rule 88. You were handed a rules book day one on the job, and those are the rules of this game, this job, this committee.
Madam President.
I have the
Excuse
floor.
me, she has the floor, Councilor.
I
Please
have the
sit till she
floor.
finishes. Please sit. Please. Excuse me, Councilor. Please sit. Councilor.
I only restate it because we need to get back to that business. We conduct ourselves through the rules. I have a
Councilor,
motion.
You can't debate the matter. Your point of personal privilege, what is it?
My point of personal privilege is that this should not be personal. What this needs to be, I had a
Thank you.
request
That's your
before
point. Your point. Thank you.
We
You may,
need to
you
get
may sit.
back.
Councilor, you may sit. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Councilor Paz.
I don't want to delay the matter. We just want to have a conversation on the ordinance. That was the sense of the request. That is the sense of the matter that we sent it to Rules and Ordinance Committee, and now it got sent here to the entire council. We just want to talk about the notification ordinance.
Councilor, can I explain that if you are going to have a public hearing on an ordinance, it is not a citizen input hearing. The difference between the two, Councilor, is that in a citizen's input hearing, which Rule 88 allows you to ask for and have, is a hearing at which people come before us and we listen. A public hearing on an ordinance is a whole different kind of public hearing. It's what we do every week with special permit. People come in favor, people come opposed, people come with neutrality. You asked for a citizen's input hearing.
Under the advice of the clerk. Under the request of the clerk.
Counselor,
Under-
excuse me,
after talking
did you
to
know
you.
the difference between the two
Yes,
hearings?
and I followed the advice to the T from you and the clerk. So I'm just curious, what happened in that conversation that the three of us had after council? I'm just curious if we're gonna, I'm happy to file this and restart the conversation if we can finally actually get the public's input on this. So just, I'm curious, what was
We are
the,
trying to attempt to get to the public hearing portion, Counselor. We are trying to get there. The counselor has made an amendment, and I'm going to take a vote on the amendment. You're debating the amendment, the second amendment. The second amendment reads, I will take a vote when everybody is finished speaking. They have the right to debate this under our rules. Would you please? Yes. So the counselor has taken out please sit, and then please sit, and thank you. The counselor has taken out the second part of the request that you made, which says, citizens input hearing, this is the second part, on an ordinance providing Waltham residents with resources and promote housing stability. So she has, the Ward 8 counselor has amended that to read, and I'm going to take a vote on this, on a resolution assisting tenants, homeowners, and counselors per the committee action.
Point of information, it's landlords, tenants, and you said counselors, ma'am.
Landlords. Is there any other discussion on this amendment? Councilor Darcy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for letting me speak.
Councilor, you have every right to speak.
I know, thank you.
You're welcome.
For recognizing me.
You're welcome.
I think we should just move this on in the fact that the Rule 88 mentions that the request shall be reduced to writing, shall include an explanation of the matter to be discussed. And I think the matter to be discussed is the submitted resolution and associated ordinance. I think that's the essence of it. And I think if we could just add both of the terms, then people can move ahead and we don't have to have this big discussion. At the end of the day, we just want to have the citizen input hearing to hear the people, both for and against this matter. So I will be voting no in full respect, and I understand what the councilors both have stated, but I don't think it should be at this phase. This is way too technical. We're just trying to schedule an input hearing. This is wordplay. So I'll be voting no on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Point of information.
Councilor Bradley MacArthur.
Can you repeat what we are voting on? Because the way I understood it, there were two proposals of language change. Are we only changing one portion of the language for the citizen input versus public
We
hearing?
already changed that. That vote already took place.
Okay, so the vote that we're having now, could you clarify what that vote is, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
So in the request that the councilor wrote, the second amendment that is being submitted is replacing, rather than say what it's replacing, the second amendment is Rule 88 to schedule a citizen input hearing on a resolution assisting landlords, tenants, and homeowners per the committee action.
Okay, so I guess then, thank you. And so additional point of information, so a matter, could you clarify, a matter could be a resolution or an ordinance? Thank you.
I'm sorry, where did the word matter come in?
It's specifically stated in Rule 88.
My interpretation of that part of Rule 88 applies to inviting department heads and attorney and city solicitors in. That matter shall be reduced to writing. When this Rule 88 was written, and I was on the council when it was written, and the counselor who was an attorney from Ward 6 wrote it, I found it confusing then until I understood what it meant. He included several requests, but you see the requests are capitalized there. So it means the proper noun request. And what he's saying on that matter that shall be reduced to writing, he was referring to the portion after. So the first part really only has to do, and it stops at the period. Requests that a citizen input hearing be held for the purpose of gathering additional information and attempting to ascertain the will of the people, comma. That is the part that we're really dealing with. Because then a request, add the request again, it's almost like you understood in grammatical language. It's request understood. Request every invitation to a department head or another person to appear before the city council or one of its committees, or A request for written information, including legal opinions from the city solicitor, shall be reclassified as a request capitalized and shall be acted upon at the same meeting at which it is introduced. We could not do that. We should have done that 2 weeks ago, but here it also gives us language in our rules to invoke, which a councilor did, the charter of 2.9 to stop the matter for 2 weeks. So that was invoked. It was legally done. So really, the matter only deals with our request that a citizen input hearing be held for the purpose of gathering additional information and attempting to ascertain the will of the people.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any other discussion? So we have an amendment. I'll read the amendment one more time. To request under Rule 88 to schedule a citizen input hearing on a resolution assisting landlords, tenants, and homeowners per the committee action. All those in favor? On the amendment, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Roll call.
The council has asked for a roll call. Clerk will call the roll. On this amendment, please.
On the amendment, Colleen Bradley MacArthur,
Yes.
George A. Darcy III,
No.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
Shanti Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Paulus Katz is absent, Anthony LaFosse,
Yes.
Randall LeBlanc,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
No.
We didn't call him.
Joseph P. LaCava, Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in favor.
So by your action, you have approved of the amendment. Now I will read the matter. And I will expect to vote on this matter in its entirety. So the matter reads, request under Rule 88 to and Counselor, are you going to sign this when I finish?
I want to hear it.
Okay. Request under Rule 88 to schedule a citizens' input hearing on a resolution assisting landlords, tenants, and homeowners per the committee action. That is the request for a citizens' input hearing. I'll go, once we decide, then I'll continue after that about scheduling, et cetera, if it prevails. You all understand that, what I just read? Are you going to sign this, Counselor?
I mean, the matter's on.
Well, if you're not going to sign, I have to have somebody sign the request.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll ask-
I think that the resolution in itself, if that's the only thing people are here to talk about, I don't know what people are going to do with that resolution because it's a very far-spreading resolution. It was an investigation. So
Counselor,
I can't get behind what just happened to
So,
my own
Counselor,
request.
thank you very
Because if I may finish, because the very point of the ordinance, the remedy that we were looking to a problem, we suggested it at the Rules and Ordinances Committee. It's a notification ordinance to make sure that people have due process. They have information. They know the information before them. Now, if someone wants to go ahead and move forward with this, that's more than fine. We can totally hear what other people have to say. But again, we were trying to have a specific conversation about notifications. And again, the Ward 8 counselor has done something to the process to ensure we don't actually have that conversation. So just for the record, and people back home listening, this council, this body, can have and start a process with a resolution, lead toward an ordinance, and that can be debated. It can actually be handled at that very specific committee. For some reason, it took us 10 months to get this far, to not take action, and now we're going to have a very vague citizen input hearing. So let me just be clear. We want to have this conversation. These people want to have that conversation. They're not going to go away. So let's make sure we do the job, we do it right, and we do right by them. Thank you.
Counselor? Counselor?
Yeah,
Now-
again, I feel like tonight I have to rise and clarify what my colleague from Ward 9 continues to misrepresent. The idea of Rule 88 is not to do something vague. It is to bring in that resolution that is the only document we have formally before us and allow the citizens to speak on the matter from their perspective. It doesn't preclude anybody from speaking. You all can speak, you can speak to your perspectives. No one is silencing you, no one is misdirecting you, no one is saying that you can't come in and say what you were originally going to say. And I wish the counselor from Ward 9 would read Rule 88, because it says here, such a request reduced to writing shall include an explanation of the matter to be discussed, including specific questions, and shall be signed by the members presenting the request. So, Rule 88 is not vague. It allows a broader perspective of people to be heard, and we want you to be heard, all of you. And to suggest otherwise is to misrepresent the facts, Madam President, and to this whole body. I submit to you that Rule 88 and what was amended here tonight allows that resolution that came out to transform into a citizen input hearing that will allow input on tenants, landlords, homeowners, and allow the city to work together. And there can be various perspectives in that. I don't want anybody listening at home to have a different perspective than what we are working on here tonight. And I feel like I'm practically begging to get this done and get it done right within the rules. Very difficult. Thank you.
So, Counselor, I need somebody to sign the request. Would you sign the request?
I will sign the
Point of
request.
information.
Point of information.
Could you please reread the request?
This is the request that we voted on.
I'm sorry, excuse me, could you please reread the resolution?
Oh,
You want me to read it?
sure, the clerk will read it.
I'm good at this. Resolution assisting tenants, homeowners, and landlords. Whereas many Waltham tenants are facing eviction due to failure to keep up with their rental payments, and whereas many Waltham homeowners are facing foreclosures due to lapses in their mortgage payments, and whereas there are various agencies, programs, and resources to assist tenants, homeowners, and landlords. Now therefore be it resolved that the Waltham City Council explore all ways to more formally assist tenants, homeowners, and landlords.
That's from March 13th, March 14th, 2022. So that's the resolution. And you will sign the request, Counselor?
I've done a huge part of the lift tonight. It is about coming together. I send this back to the Ward 9 counselor to sign off on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Counselor, I'll leave it up to you. Your decision.
I would, if we're restarting this,
We're not restarting. If you wish to
If I
sign,
may finish, Madam President, I feel like I try to start talking and it just, something
but you
blurts back at me.
misspeak, Counselor, you misspeak frequently.
Respectfully, Madam President, I would just, since that's the direction that, it's clear that people moved on this, I can't sign on to a very vague public input hearing on a resolution that we investigated, we acted upon it, we got a lot of input on. I can't support that. If we have to restart the process, I'd rather just restart with the ordinance because we did the work. We have data, we got information from the Housing Division. I can't do that. This is the making of the Ward 9 councilor with the Ward 8 councilor and all her amendments. I was amenable to maybe getting the language right from public hearing to citizen input, but I can't tell these people that we accomplished something tonight or tell the public back home that we accomplished something by having a citizen input hearing on a resolution that we already acted upon. We want to talk about a notification ordinance. So again, I just want to ask the Ward 8 councilor, what would you like to do? Thank you.
Excuse me?
Through you,
Counsel-
Madam President.
Madam President, I have spoken here tonight in my capacity. I've moved the matter forward. I have made sure it's congruent to the rules, which were ignored and ignored and ignored, and we've ended up in a huge debate over like 3 sentence changes to a document. All these people are here. I recommend you move forward and have the citizens' input hearing. Allow people to speak, because at this point, now it's congruent to the rules. Now we're congruent to the rules. Now the rules will allow the matter to happen. Now we don't want the matter to happen. This is not a conversation between me and the Ward 9 counselor. The Ward 9 counselor needs to act on the matter. The committee and this body has helped him move this in such a way that now it's congruent with the rules and can happen. So let's make it happen. Thank you.
So I have an amended request. Excuse me, I have another speaker. Please sit. I have an amended request that has been approved, not by a party of one, but by a majority, as it should be, in a public board.